Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moment. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Renegade Immortal episode number 169 based on novel. So let's start. Wang Lin was not concerned with the battle in the Fire Demon country. He had spent the last 20 years completely immersed in the celestial spell. Celestial spells couldn't be compared to normal spells, it was very difficult to learn them. 20 years was just the beginning for Wang Lin. While immersed in studying the celestial spell and celestial treasure, time flowed by like water, and unknowingly more than 50 years had passed. There were less than 10 years left until the agreement with the ancient demon. During these almost 100 years of time, in addition to studying the celestial spell and celestial treasures, Wang Lin never stopped imprinting on the scattered devil. During this time, the imprint became even stronger. After several decades, Wang Lin had only touched the edge of the stop celestial spell. The requirement for this celestial spell wasn't a certain amount of celestial spiritual energy but one's comprehension of the heavens. To be more accurate, the aspects covered by this celestial spell were far outside the grasp of cultivators. It was like a very esoteric knowledge that required constant studying and understanding before he could finally master and use it. Wang Lin spent many years gradually understanding the celestial slaughter art and eventually reached small completion. This stop spell was the same. Wang Lin forgot about time while immersed in the celestial spell. During the decades he had been in closed-door cultivation, the soul-refining tribe had sent large amounts of people to the front line in the Fire Demon country to collect souls and strengthen themselves. This all changed once the troops of other countries entered the Sky Demon country. Rather than going out, the tribe members defended the Sky Demon country. Large amounts of tribe members returned from the Fire Demon country and began battling the demon soldiers from various other demon countries. However, the power of the soul-refining tribe was simply too small. They could only defend the area under the Black Cloud and couldn't leave it. Eventually, when the soldiers of the other demon countries found that they couldn't take Sky Demon City because it was sealed by the ancient demon, they turned their sights to the soul-refining tribe. After all, there was something strange about this small tribe. The black cloud above this tribe that acted as a natural protection was especially strange. It blocked the attacking demon soldiers several times. Of course, not all of the demon countries had set their sights on the soul-refining tribe. Only 2 of the country's leaders did, so the remaining 5 turned their attention to the Fire Demon country. The other 7 demon countries didn't send out too many demon soldiers. After all, they didn't have the determination to send out everything like the ancient demon of the Sky Demon country. At this moment, both the Water Demon country and the Thunder Demon country sent out a vice commander-in-chief with 100,000 demon soldiers. One came from the north and the other came from the south. The 2 armies surrounded the soul-refining tribe. The vice commander-in-chief of the Water Demon country was a woman. Her appearance was ordinary, but her eyes gave off a cold light. Beside her was a demon general of the Water Demon country. As for the Thunder Demon country, their vice commander-in-chief was a burly middle-aged man. He was the only person not wearing armor, and there was lightning moving across his body and the ground under his feet was charred. This small savage tribe has such an incredible treasure, this is interesting. Although the burly man seemed to be talking to himself, his voice was like thunder. There was no gain from this trip to the Sky Demon country. However, taking this treasure back to the Demon Emperor is not a bad choice. The burly man's eyes lit up and he took a step. With a bang, the ground under him shattered and the charred area on the ground began to spread. The burly man's body quickly flew toward the black cloud. His speed was extremely fast and he had clearly reached the equivalent of an early-stage ascendant cultivator. With just one step, he crossed a long distance and arrived next to the black cloud surrounding the soul-refining tribe. The waves of demonic spiritual energy around his body formed an invisible shield that pushed the black cloud back. Inside the soul-refining tribe, Ouyanghua's expression was calm as he stared at the sky. On the ground, the soul-refining tribe members were all sitting in the lotus position and were completely focused. Ouyang shouted, "Souls, scatter!" Suddenly, all of the tribe members released the soul fragments they had collected. In an instant, the enter world was filled with black gas made of soul fragments. Under the control of their respective masters, the mass of black gas condensed into a black river that charged at the burly man. The burly man let out a laugh. Rather than retreating, he rushed forward and threw out a punch. This punch contained a large amount of demonic spiritual energy, and it created a thunderous roar as it rushed out like a raging thunder dragon toward the incoming Black River. Not far away, the Vice-Commander-in-Chief of the Water Demon Country coldly looked at the battle and said, "The Thunder Vice-Commander-in-Chief underestimated this black cloud." One of the demon generals beside her was startled and asked, "My lord, could there be some hidden secrets about this black cloud? Will the Thunder Vice-Commander-in-Chief be able to break it? This black cloud is very strange and is composed of many soul fragments. If there is no one controlling it, the Thunder Vice-Commander-in-Chief can easily break it. However, if there is someone controlling it, I'm afraid he will have to give it his all to break it." The demon general beside the woman smiled. "That is for the best. We agreed that he would take the black fog and we would take the people of this tribe. This way we won't have to use any strength and get all the people of this soul-refining tribe. After we go back and study them, we will definitely learn something." The thunder dragon created from the punch of the middle-aged man let out a thunderous roar and charged toward the black cloud formed by all the tribe members' soul fragments. The moment the two collided, a powerful shockwave appeared. An opening appeared in the black cloud as a result of this shockwave. Then the black river dissipated and the burly man laughed. "A mere tribe of savages dares to attack me. What a bunch of lowly ants." As the burly man spoke, he walked in through the gap in the black cloud. The soldiers of the Thunder Demon Country all burst out in cheers. Their shouting wasn't any weaker than thunder. This added an infinite amount of momentum for the burly man. The woman from the Water Demon Country was not far away. She shook her head and said, "There is no suspense left in this battle. From today onwards, this soul-refining tribe will cease to exist. Wait for the Thunder Vice-Commander-in-Chief to take the black fog and then go capture the tribe members. If anyone dares to resist, just kill them." The various demon generals around her all acknowledged her order. The burly man stepped directly into soul-refining tribe with one step. He grinned as if he had already seen the panic and fear in this little tribe. However, at the moment he entered, he was immediately startled. This 50-kilometer area was filled with soul-refining tribe members sitting in the lotus position. They were all looking at him, only. There was no panic in their eyes like the burly man expected. Instead, their eyes were very calm, and this calmness was definitely not fake. There was even a deep sense of sarcasm and dense coldness within these calm eyes. These countless, strange gazes caused the Thunder Vice-Commander-in-Chief's heart to skip a beat. His step involuntarily slowed down. From this position, he could see that at the center of the tribe there was a 5-kilometer-wide area of empty space with a tall tower at the center. The moment he saw the tower, the burly man's eyes narrowed. With his knowledge, he naturally knew that large tribes all had their own beliefs. Right now this tower was clearly the core of their beliefs. The burly man sneered. "After I destroy this tower, I want to see if you can still have these kinds of gazes." He charged directly at the tower. None of the tribe members sitting there spoke, they only coldly looked at the burly man. This kind of silence was like an invisible pressure that made the burly man have the vague feeling that something was wrong. However, he had confidence in his cultivation. He let out a cold snort as he neared the tower and was about to throw a punch with his right fist. "Stop!" A bland and barely audible voice came from within the tower. This voice was very weak, but its appearance seemed to have stopped time. Even the black cloud became motionless at this moment. An unidentifiable power suddenly appeared and surrounded the burly man. This burly man's body trembled and the lightning that was constantly moving across his body stopped. At this moment, his aura completely disappeared. His body stopped in the air, completely motionless. His fist had already formed half an arc, but it would never be able to be sent out. The only thing that could move was his eyes. At this moment, the terror in his eyes was something he had never experienced before in his life. If the fear in his eyes was compared to an ocean, that ocean could drown the entire demon spirit land. Wang Lin's figure slowly walked out of the tower. His hair flowed behind him, and with the white robe he was wearing, he was like a celestial. After he came out, he didn't even look at the burly man and waved his sleeve. The burly man was immediately blown away by a powerful wind. He coughed out blood and was immediately thrown out of the soul-refining tribe. The burly man's body moved like a meteor, and along the way, a mist of blood bursted out from his body. Finally, his body smashed into the ground after leaving the soul-refining tribe. Up until now, he wasn't able to move his body an inch. The surroundings were completely silent. The pupils of the woman from the water demon country suddenly shrank. Her mind was completely blank when she saw this. However, she quickly recovered and shouted, "Quickly, retreat!" Unfortunately, it was too late. Wang Lin had his hands behind his back as he floated out of the soul-refining tribe. The members of the soul-refining tribe exuded killing intent and immediately followed him. The woman from the water demon country's expression immediately changed and she shouted, "Formation!" The demon soldiers had just started to move and the demonic spiritual energy had just begun to move. "Stop!" Wang Lin opened his arms, raised his head, and closed his eyes. Decades of comprehension allowed him to touch the edge of the celestial spell. At this moment, it was his first time activating a celestial spell at full power. With one word, the world stopped moving. Everyone outside the soul-refining tribe stopped moving at this moment. The members of the soul-refining tribe seemed to have received an order and quickly rushed out to kill. At the same time, the black cloud over the soul-refining tribe spread out and covered the sky of the surrounding area. The woman from the water demon country was also frozen. However, after 3 breaths of time, a blue light surrounded her. Her eyes were filled with fear and she turned around to escape without any hesitation. Just at this moment, 3 rays of sword light flew out, immediately caught up to the woman, and surrounded her. The 3 sword spirits of Zishu, Haishu, and Mo Yang released roars. The woman's heart trembled and the 3 swords pierced her body. There was a mist of blood and then she died. Wang Lin floated in the air and quietly felt the power of the celestial spell. It was as if the slaughter on the ground was happening in a different world. He didn't pay any attention to it at all. I still haven't fully grasped this celestial spell. But the date of my agreement with the ancient demon is about to arrive, so there is no time to continue comprehending. It is time to leave. Wang Lin waved his right hand and the 3 swords flew toward him. Zishu's mouth held the origin soul of that woman. 1 month later, Wang Lin left the soul-refining tribe. When he left, he took away the 1 billion soul flag and left a strand of divine sense to guard the soul-refining tribe. Wang Lin didn't immediately rush toward the fire demon country, he went to the cave first. On the revered dragon path, he carefully recorded all 11 symbols before leaving. The Jade said that there are 12 symbols, but right now there are only 11. I don't know where that last symbol is. Wang Lin's expression was neutral as he stepped forward. He then activated the greater teleportation spell and headed straight for the fire demon country. The flames of war covered the entire fire demon country. The other 7 countries continued to increase their military tower within the fire demon country. This country had completely become a battleground. After nearly 100 years of war, the ground had been stained red. After entering the fire demon country, a thick smell of blood would rush towards you. Aside from blood, there were also countless broken corpses covering the ground. Bursts of death aura came from the corpses and formed a grey mist that shrouded the entire fire demon country. This was a battle to the death between the sky demon country and the fire demon country. It could even be said that there was no winner or loser in this battle. Instead, each life was traded for another as the power of the fire demon country was slowly erased. The capital of the fire demon country was completely empty. Even the demon emperor had personally entered the battle. Aside from the Holy Land, the Demon Valley, everywhere else was completely deserted. The ancient demon of the fire demon country imitated the ancient demon of the sky demon country. He sealed off the capital and didn't allow anyone to enter. The fire demon country's Demon Valley was not outside the city but in the depths of the city. Dense demonic spiritual energy spread out from the valley and shrouded the entire fire demon country's capital. Looking from a distance, The capital was surrounded by demonic spiritual energy, but there was also a large amount of death aura. It looked like a city within fog, and it caused people to feel sadness when they looked at it. When Wang Lin landed outside the capital of the Fire Demon country, his step made a crunch sound. This sound was all the more clear given how quiet the surroundings were. The dark red earth gave off a muddy feeling when one stepped on it. This muddy feeling came from the blood of tens of millions of people that had soaked the earth for the last 100 years. Crunch! Wang Lin didn't fly, but walked step by step toward the Fire Demon country's capital. His figure was like a white-robed wandering soul. It was extremely strange inside this grey fog. His hair flowed in the air as he walked through the fog. The crunching sound continued with every step Wang Lin took. The city inside the fog was extremely empty. It was difficult to imagine that 100 years ago the population of this city was no less than the capital of the Sky Demon country. However, now it was completely dead. In the eyes of the 9 ancient demons, the people of their countries were simply people they enlightened. They were only tools to help them recover. Even if all of the people died, their hearts wouldn't be affected at all. Everyone inside the Fire Demon country's capital, from the Demon Emperor to the civilians, had been sent to the battlefield, and they were turned into corpses that scattered across the earth. They were turned to blood that dyed the ground red. Wang Lin's heart was very calm as he calmly walked forward step by step. The ancient demon seal started 5 kilometers away from the Fire Demon country's capital, and this seal was very powerful. It was one of the methods the ancient demon had to protect itself. Even the commander-in-chiefs of the other countries couldn't break it. The only people that could break the seal, aside from the other ancient demons, were those extremely powerful cultivators. Ancient demon Bei Luo once said that after the capital is empty, the ancient demon will definitely seal the city to prevent anyone from entering. That is why the first thing we agreed on was breaking this seal. Wang Lin stopped outside the screen of demonic spiritual energy and raised his right hand. There was a flash of black light on the tip of his finger as he pointed at the screen. The moment this finger touched the screen of demonic spiritual energy, a powerful rebound force suddenly appeared. Wang Lin's finger was knocked back and a sense of numbness quickly entered his finger and spread to his tendons. Wang Lin cycled the celestial spiritual energy inside his body and quickly returned to normal. Wang Lin muttered, "It is indeed very powerful." Just at this moment, a powerful divine sense suddenly surged out from the capital. A roar that could shock the origin soul spread out from the divine sense. Scram! This voice echoed across the land as if it was thunder descending from the sky. The thundering rumble echoed fiercely inside Wang Lin's ears. Wang Lin's right hand formed a very strange seal. If one looked closely at the seal, they would see that it was giving off demonic spiritual energy. The moment that roar descended on Wang Lin, it immediately disappeared. Bei Luo. You were sent by Bei Luo. The vicious divine sense inside the capital let out another roar. It was filled with anger. Wang Lin ignored this voice and took a deep breath. Then he muttered, "Ancient demon Bei Luo, this is the first part of our agreement. Please watch." Wang Lin raised his right hand and pointed at the sky. Then his eyes became cold and he softly said, "Slaughter energy, gather." Such simple words weren't louder than thunder and couldn't change the world. However, these 5 simple words caused an incredible storm inside the Fire Demon country. In the battlefield in the northern part of the Fire Demon country, demon soldiers from both sides suddenly trembled. A strand of thick killing intent that could penetrate the heavens immediately flew out of their bodies. This slaughter energy quickly charged out and disappeared into the distance. The ancestor has arrived. These demon soldiers' faces were filled with excitement. They no longer slaughtered but quickly left the battlefield. On the battlefield south of the Fire Demon country, countless people in black robes invaded the battle here. These people carried powerful killing intent. They would often kill demon soldiers in their path, causing these demon soldiers to turn into strands of grey gas which were then absorbed by them. The demon generals from both sides weren't unfamiliar with these people and had grown accustomed to their existence. These people came and went without any trace, and they didn't know what side they belonged to. Even when they managed to encircle these people, it often wasn't worth it. However, right now these people in black suddenly trembled and revealed looks of ecstasy in their eyes. They quickly left, and while they left, strands of powerful slaughter energy left their bodies. Countless strands of slaughter energy disappeared over the horizon. This scene occurred at the same time in countless places across the Fire Demon country. The sky was covered by strands of grey gas. These strands contained unimaginable slaughter energy and they flashed across the sky. At this instant, it was as if the entire world was shrouded in slaughter and became cold enough to pierce one's bones. The warring parties inside the Fire Demon country all stopped fighting at this moment. They all looked at the sky with uncertainty and eyes filled with confusion. Not only were there a lot of soul-refining tribe members hidden within the demon soldiers in the past 100 years, even many of the generals on both sides were soul-refining tribe members. At this moment, countless demon generals in the Fire Demon country trembled slightly, and a strand of slaughter energy escaped from each of their heads and quickly disappeared. After losing the strands of slaughter energy, these people immediately used their own methods to quickly escape. The entire Fire Demon country had been at war for 100 years. The scene today shocked all the lucky survivors. The sky was no longer blue, it was now grey. Strands of slaughter energy soared into the air and gathered at the Fire Demon country's capital. 100,000 strands of slaughter energy came from all directions toward Wang Lin. The sound of things roaring never stopped in the sky above the Fire Demon country's capital. Wang Lin was in the center of a huge vortex as the 100,000 strands of slaughter energy rushed toward him. These strands of slaughter energy were much more vigorous than the ones from 100 years ago. The amount of slaughter was far more powerful than before, and the 100 years of nourishment had caused the 100,000 strands of slaughter energy to almost solidify. Split. There was a trace of red light in Wang Lin's eyes. The heart of slaughter and slaughter energy fused, becoming the core of the path of slaughter. 100 strands of slaughter energy had already covered the sky, but with one word from Wang Lin, they immediately all split into two. The 100,000 strands of slaughter energy turned into 200,000 strands of slaughter energy. It was not over. The 200,000 strands split once more. Split once more. Split once more. The entire world was shrouded by thick, grey gas in an instant. This grey gas wasn't fog but slaughter energy. This was a fusion of the heart of slaughter and slaughter intent. The division of the slaughter energy caused 100,000 strands of slaughter energy to split into 1 million strands of slaughter energy. These 1 million strands of slaughter energy could still split more, but Wang Lin had only reached small completion in the celestial slaughter art, so 1 million was his limit. This was an important reason why he didn't participate in the slaughter himself and used the members of the soul-refining tribe to nurture the slaughter energy. Break for me. Wang Lin's hair flowed in the air as he suddenly pointed at the screen of demonic spiritual energy. The 1 million strands of slaughter energy descended on the seal like pouring rain. The method to break the ancient demon's seal wasn't to focus on one point. Instead, there were many points spread across the seal that needed to be attacked at the same time in order to break it. If the power wasn't enough, it would be ineffective. However, Wang Lin's 1 million strands of slaughter energy had been nourished for 100 years, so the power of this spell was shocking. It could be said that after he had reached small completion in the celestial slaughter art, it replaced the finger of death. It had become one of Wang Lin's 3 finishing moves along with using the demonic finger while wearing the devil armor and the underworld river. As for the stop spell, it was Wang Lin's life-saving spell. After testing it twice, he decided to hide this spell. Only when no one knew about it could it play a role at a critical moment to save his life. 1 million strands of slaughter energy fell down like pouring rain. Sounds of collisions came from the demonic screen outside the Fire Demon country's capital. At this moment, it was as if 1 million strikes of sword energy were crashing into it. After several breaths of time, the sound of the collisions came one after another. The demonic screen began to tremble violently. Wang Lin's expression was neutral as he stood outside the demonic screen and coldly watched all of this. It wasn't long before cracks appeared on the demonic screen. The cracks spread until the demonic screen collapsed with a bang. Then 1,000,000 strands of slaughter energy immediately rushed into the capital, and the entire capital was soon shrouded in grey gas. With the demonic screen broken, Wang Lin walked inside. Now that the demonic screen was gone, a storm of demonic spiritual energy exploded forth from the demon valley at the center of the capital. It turned into a purple cloud in the sky. As the cloud in the sky churned, it immediately turned into the shadow of a double-horned demon. Its eyes revealed an eerie light as it floated in the air and looked at Wang Lin like they were looking at an ant. Lowly cultivator, even if you obey Lu's protection, since you dared to destroy my demonic screen, you will without a doubt die. The voice from the shadow seemed to come from the 9th level of hell. It was very erratic. The demonic shadow waved its hand and the heavens suddenly changed. The entire capital disappeared, and in an instant the surroundings became a world of red. This red was light from flames. The ground was covered in magma. The intense red light from the fire even made the sky glow red. Sounds of explosions echoed throughout the area, and large amounts of hot air came out from the ground. The hot air quickly turned into illusions, and soon there were hundreds of illusions around the ancient demon. Wang Lin raised his right hand, and 1,000,000 strands of slaughter energy suddenly entered his body. They turned into life seals between his eyebrows. Soon, 1,000,000 life seals quickly covered his whole body. Then he slapped his bag of holding, and the devilish armor flew out. It turned into black silk which wrapped around Wang Lin before turning into the ferocious black armor. Wang Lin's face was covered by the armor, revealing only his cold eyes. With his long hair flowing behind him, he took one step and floated in the air. After a moment of pause, he suddenly charged out. The ancient demon's shadow immediately revealed a ferocious expression. It let out a roar as it used various spells to stop Wang Lin. Wang Lin's eyes became cold and he moved even faster. At the same time, the finger of death appeared in his right hand and shot out like a bolt of lightning. As for the attacks from the shadow, Wang Lin completely ignored them. Even though some spells landed on him, they were immediately blocked by the devilish energy from the black armor. He also had 1,000,000 life seals, so he could completely ignore these attacks. He moved like lightning as he rushed toward the giant ancient demon formed by the purple cloud in the sky. The ancient demon revealed a hint of mockery and let out a cold snort. The devilish armor of a scattered devil under an ancient devil. However, you don't have a devil's heart, so it is a complete waste on you. He opened his mouth and let out a roar. This roar carried with it dense demonic spiritual energy that charged at Wang Lin. There was a flash of cold light in Wang Lin's eyes as he pointed at the ancient demon and said, "Devil transformation." The devilish energy formed the armor seemed to cheer, and countless strands of devilish energy from the armor entered Wang Lin's body through his mouth and nose. The energy cycled through his body and shot out of his finger. At this moment, Wang Lin's hair was flowing and he was filled with devilish energy as if he had really turned into a devil. The attack was the peak of him using the black armor while transformed into a devil. The devilish wind charged out and the devilish energy lit up like a rainbow. Wang Lin's attack was able to pierce through the ancient demon's sound attack. The mockery in the ancient demon's eyes was still there. Facing the devilish wind, he opened his mouth and devoured it. Then he smacked his lips and said, "Not bad. This devilish energy can be considered pure." Wang Lin's eyes were still cold. At this moment, he was 1,000 feet from the ancient demon, and with one step he closed in another 100 feet. The ancient demon looked at Wang Lin and revealed a mysterious light in his eyes. He suddenly moved and released a burst of demonic energy from his large body. This demonic energy contained the ancient demon's divine sense, and it quickly surrounded the 1,000-foot area around him. A powerful pressure suddenly appeared within this area. Sounds of things breaking came from within Wang Lin's body, and then the devilish energy around him disappeared. He took a deep breath and calmly said, "Tao transformation." An underworld river forced itself into this area and formed a road under Wang Lin's feet. The underworld river wrapped itself around Wang Lin and the power of reincarnation surrounded the area. Wang Lin's steps were calm as he closed in another 100 feet. The ancient demon let out a cold snort as his hand turned into a claw and clawed at Wang Lin. This claw contained dense demonic spiritual energy. All of the devilish energy from the armor suddenly dissipated and returned to his body. Then the 1,000,000 strands of slaughter energy shined brightly. Wang Lin let out a roar. Instead of retreating, he charged forward and clashed with the ancient demon's claw. Bang! A heaven-shattering sound echoed the area. The ancient demon's right hand was knocked into the air by Wang Lin. As for Wang Lin, more than 700,000 life seals collapsed, but all quickly reformed. He took another step and crossed another 100 feet. The mockery in the ancient demon's eyes gradually disappeared and was replaced with cold killing intent. When he was dealing with Wang Lin earlier, he only had the intention of playing with Wang Lin. However, at this moment, as Wang Lin closed in, he felt that something was wrong. Bei Lu must have his own intent for sending this person. A flash of killing intent appeared in the ancient demon's eyes. He doesn't want to use any ancient demon spells, as they took a lot out of him every time he used them. Demon spell, Devil Slaughter. The ancient demon formed a seal. Strands of demonic spiritual energy that turned into vortexes flew out of his body. The entire magma-filled earth began to boil, then strands of hot air charged out and gathered before the ancient demon. Soon, a large lance appeared before the ancient demon. This lance was completely red. On top of emitting dense demonic spiritual energy, it also contained a powerful heat aura. The moment the lance appeared, a powerful sense of crisis appeared in Wang Lin's heart. His eyes lit up, but he didn't stop and stepped forth. After moving forward another 100 feet, he touched the spot between his eyebrows with his right hand. Then he pointed forward and softly said, 1,000,000 strands of slaughter energy fuse into one. The 1,000,000 life seals seemed to be pulled out by Wang Lin's finger. The life energy quickly fused until there was only one strand left. Even people like the All-Seer would be shocked by the amount of slaughter energy contained within this strand of grey gas. At this moment, this slaughter energy gathered at Wang Lin's fingertip, and he stepped forward once more. This time he had come within 500 feet of the ancient demon. At the moment he entered within 500 feet of the ancient demon, his eyes suddenly lit up and he began chanting an extremely complex spell. At the same time, his left hand formed a seal. This seal was given to him by ancient demon Bei Lu. His agreement with Bei Lu was that he would break the demonic screen and use this spell after getting within 500 feet of the other ancient demon. After he finished these two steps, he would complete a majority of their agreement. After all, it was impossible to beat the ancient demon with Wang Lin's power. The reason this war happened was to empty out the Fire Demon country's capital. Without the protection of the people in the capital, Wang Lin was able to get within 500 feet of the ancient demon. The moment the seal appeared in Wang Lin's left hand, the blood inside his body surged. Then he coughed out a large amount of blood. At the same time, there were sounds of things breaking coming from all over his body and a blood mist was forming. At this instant, the ancient demon's expression changed greatly for the first time. He stared at the blood mist in front of Wang Lin with an extremely serious expression and said, in a serious tone, "This blood contains the aura of an ancient god." So it was, like this, After the blood mist appeared, it quickly condensed together to form a blood person. At the same time, a very tyrannical divine sense descended on the blood person, causing it to open its eyes. At this moment, every living being in the Fire Demon country suddenly felt anxiety rising in its heart. Very few people knew the reality. However, a majority of the people felt helplessness and fear toward the anxiety in their hearts. At this moment, the expressions of the ancient demons in the other 7 countries all changed. Their eyes lit up and they all looked toward the capital of the Fire Demon country. The Fire Demon country's ancient demon's tone was low as he slowly said, "Your luck is very good to find a cultivator with the aura of an ancient god. His blood and the connection of divine sense between the two of you allow you to take form with his blood for a long period of time. It allows you to leave the restriction of the Sky Demon country." Bei Lu's calm voice came from the blood person. "We have been separated for too long. If this continues, we will soon be destroyed one by one. After we fuse, we will be reborn as a brand new ancient demon. As for the remaining 7, I'll devour them all one by one." This video will end here.